Grandma Rose is a 72-year-old senior, living with her daughter and two little grandkids. Every morning, she wakes up early to boil water, make tea, and turn on the radio like a ritual. The kitchen always smells of ginger, baked pastries, and the soft sound of her humming. But this morning, something felt different. Grandma Rose held her toothbrush, poured boiling water into a cup, then dropped in a cold pill. She placed the cup on the table and smiled. "This peppermint tea is extra strong today, huh?" Her daughter, peeling fruit, laughed. "Mom, did you make tea with toothpaste?" The kids burst out laughing, and Grandma Rose just looked at the cup and smiled so gently. But her eyes didn't look like she was joking at all. After that laughter, no one said another word. There was only a quiet feeling that crept into the kitchen, as if something had shifted. Breakfast passed in silence, but that image stayed with everyone. That evening, Grandma Rose didn't go to bed like usual. Her daughter found her standing outside, holding a note with a phone number. She said, "I'm waiting for your father to pick me up. He's taking too long to get bread." Her father had passed away 14 years ago. No one cried. But her heart skipped a cold, heavy beat. Have you ever seen something like this in your own home? A small action, seemingly random, that keeps repeating itself. A familiar senior, suddenly feeling like someone else entirely. A silence, longer than fear, that makes us too afraid to name it. But if we never name it, how can we hold on to what matters? Let's take the next step, where we ask a deeper question together. Is this really just aging? Or is it something far more serious? Is this aging, or is it illness? She's just old, it's normal to forget a little, right? My grandma was the same, she remembered the past but often forgot new things. These phrases sound familiar, gentle, and full of love. But those same familiar words have made many people miss the very first signs. There's a thin line between forgetting because of age and forgetting due to memory loss. Seniors may forget things briefly, like a name slipping their mind for a moment. But they often remember it seconds later, especially when given a little reminder. Alzheimer's is different. It's not just forgetting. It's forgetting that they even forgot. You say, "Mom, you just asked that question." But she looks confused and says, "What? No, I didn't ask that." That's when you begin to feel something isn't right. And then, the forgetting doesn't come alone. It brings behavioral changes. They put the phone in the fridge. They try to turn on the TV with the fan remote. They confuse their daughter with a younger sister. They think today is tomorrow. This confusion is no longer just getting old. It's the result of brain cells silently dying, bit by bit. But sadly, many families still hesitate to call it by name, Alzheimer's. Because naming it means admitting a loved one is slipping away, little by little. Many choose silence. They believe it's just stress, just age, just exhaustion. But that silence comes at a cost. The cost of letting golden chances for early intervention slip away. Are you overlooking the first signs of Alzheimer's in your own family? Can you pause, observe, and ask a crucial question? If it's not aging, then what are we really facing? And if it truly is Alzheimer's, can early detection really help? Let's explore in the next part, where you'll see the value of timely action. Not to cure it, but to preserve what can still be saved. Early detection means preserving dignity. Dear friend, Alzheimer's doesn't arrive suddenly like an accident. It creeps in quietly, like fog slowly covering the memories of someone you love. But if you recognize the early signs, you can do more than you think. This video will help you clearly distinguish what are normal signs of aging in seniors, and what are the hidden signs of early-stage Alzheimer's. We'll walk with you through 7 early signs, often missed by families. Small behaviors, repeated over and over, may be the brain's first silent cry for help. You'll understand why some stay sharp with age, while others slowly lose themselves. You'll know when it's time to take your loved one for a checkup, and how to observe gently, without hurting their sense of pride and dignity. No one wants to believe their loved one is slowly forgetting who they are. But with early detection, you can slow the disease's progress. You can help them retain autonomy, connection, and a lifetime's worth of dignity. Because Alzheimer's doesn't just take memories. It takes the ability to live as a whole human being, a dignified senior. This video isn't just about recognizing disease. It's about helping you become the keeper of your loved one's humanity. We'll also share a true story with you. A family noticed something was off, just from one repeated question. And thanks to that, they had 4 more full years together before memory faded away. You don't need to do anything grand. You just need to look more closely, and believe your small action can bring big change. And to understand why these behaviors happen, we need to move to the next part. A part that helps you see clearly, Alzheimer's isn't random forgetting. It's a biological process, with patterns, with signs, and with ways to observe it. Science explained, the mechanism made simple. Alzheimer's is not just random forgetting. It's a degenerative brain disease that progresses slowly and silently. In its early stage, it attacks the hippocampus, the center for short-term memory. This is where recent events are stored, a story, a meal, a new name. And it's also the first area to be damaged when Alzheimer's begins. The neurons here begin to die off, little by little. Like reading a diary, but losing a few pages each day. Gradually, short-term memory disappears. Recent events become blurry. Patients won't recall what was just said, but can describe events from 30 years ago. It's not because they choose to remember the past. It's because long-term memory remains intact, while new memory is being damaged. Next, Alzheimer's affects the cerebral cortex, the area for reasoning and language. At this point, seniors may begin to speak unclearly, struggle to express, or forget simple words. For example, instead of saying spoon, they might say the thing to eat soup with. Gradually, it affects the parts of the brain that control behavior and emotion. They may get irritated, have sleep disturbances, or panic when a stranger visits. This isn't just a change in personality, it's the brain losing its directions. They enter a room without knowing why they came in. They pick up the phone and put it down, unsure if they made the call. This is when you must understand, Alzheimer's is not laziness or normal aging. It's a biological process, with signs, and clear causes. The sooner we detect it, the better we can offer the right support. This image may help you remember more clearly. The brain is like a city map. Each neuron is a road leading to a memory. When Alzheimer's strikes, those roads are gradually erased. At first, the small alleys disappear, minor details, newly learned names. Then the highways, routines and daily actions. And in the end, the patient gets lost in the very city of their own life. But if we detect it when just a few corners of the map begin to fade, we can still preserve so much that lives in their heart. So what are the 7 earliest signs? What behavior should we watch for in seniors? We'll explore that next, clearly, specifically, and easy to recognize. Group 1, Communication and Memory. Sign 1, repeating the same question over and over. Seniors ask, "What day is it today?" You answer, and they ask again 5 minutes later. It's not that they didn't hear, it's that they can't store new information. Even if you repeat it several times, they won't remember asking before. If this happens daily, write it down right away. Sign 2, forgetting the names of close family members. It's not just a little forgetfulness like people often think. They call a grandchild their child a sibling a neighbor. Sometimes they say the name of someone who passed away, instead of the one standing there. Confusing relationships is a particularly important warning sign. Sign 3, telling stories out of order, losing track. When seniors tell a story, you notice they forget where it began. The story becomes jumbled, timelines shift, characters change halfway through. For example, they start with an event in 2020, then drift into 1985 without realizing. This isn't just confusion, it's the brain misfiring its signals. Group 2, daily routine and orientation. Sign 4, confusing times, losing track of the day. Seniors may eat breakfast at 3 in the afternoon, or insist on picking up the grandkids from school at 9 p.m. They lose sense of time, often with disrupted sleep patterns as well. Sign 5, getting lost in familiar places. They go to the nearby market, then forget how to get home. Or forget why they went out, just walk around with no purpose. This can be extremely dangerous, especially if they live alone. Sign 6, doing familiar routines incorrectly. Seniors might put toothpaste on their hand instead of the toothbrush. Or wash the dishes before eating, wear a coat in the middle of summer. If you notice several reversed behaviors, that's a major warning sign. Group 3, emotions and reactions. Sign 7, becoming irritable, withdrawn, or avoiding interaction. Someone once cheerful may now seem cold, easily upset for no reason. They get irritated when asked questions, or avoid visitors at home. They might feel embarrassed when they realize they're forgetting things. Not knowing how to react, they choose silence or sudden anger. You see, these signs don't explode all at once. They slip quietly into a senior's life, light as smoke, but very real. If you take notes, observe, and truly listen, you can spot what's not right. And to see this more clearly, let's hear the true stories of two families. One noticed in time, the other didn't. And the outcomes were very different. Let's continue with A Tale of Two Paths, Same Disease, Different Outcomes. Ellen is 68, living in San Diego with her husband and 2 little cats. She loves painting, Italian cooking, and writing in her journal every morning. One day, her daughter noticed something strange. Ellen wrote the wrong birth date. Instead of July 10th like every year, she wrote November 3rd, Mom's birthday. Her daughter gently asked about it. Ellen smiled and said it was probably just a slip. But then it happened again, several times that week. She also started confusing her grandchild's name, and mixing up her 2 cats. The family decided to take her to a neurologist. Diagnosis, very early stage Alzheimer's, but still a strong chance to preserve function. They changed her diet, started memory games, and practiced language daily. Ellen still forgets, but she no longer feels afraid because someone is always beside her. She paints the dreams she remembers, as if to save her memories before they fade. 4 years later, she still remembers her daughter's name and still reminds her to water the plants every Sunday morning. Then there's Ray, 72, in another state, a quiet man living with his wife and grandson. For months, he kept asking, "Are we having dinner tonight?" Even after the table was set. He would water the garden at 10 p.m., or eat breakfast while everyone else went to bed. The family thought, he's just old, forgetting a little is normal. They chuckled at first, and then, stopped noticing. Until one afternoon, Ray went missing. Police found him nearly 3 miles from home. He stood outside a laundromat, not knowing why he was there, or who he was. Diagnosis, mid-stage Alzheimer's. No longer able to care for himself. The family was overwhelmed with guilt. They said, "We wish we had known sooner." But memory cannot be reversed. And time cannot be rewound. Now, Ray sits silently by the window every afternoon. His eyes gaze far away, but no one is there anymore. Two people, two stories, one disease, two very different outcomes. One still carries light in her eyes. The other slowly slipped away from his family, and no one caught him in time. And the reason stories like Ray's keep happening is because of the common misunderstandings our community still holds. Let's explore. Common misunderstandings, dangerous beliefs. Old people always forget things, it's just normal. That familiar phrase is the biggest trap that causes Alzheimer's to be ignored. Many families see the early changes as just normal aging. They smile when seniors mix up a grandchild's name. They brush it off when grandma writes the wrong birthday. They say, just let it be, they'll get used to it. But Alzheimer's doesn't wait for you to get used to it. It moves in quietly, without needing an invitation. Misunderstanding number 1, it's just stress. Many people think, Mom's just tired, it's nothing serious. Stress can cause short-term lapses in focus, but not for an entire week. If you notice an unusual behavior repeating, don't call it fatigue. It might be the brain's first cry for help. Misunderstanding number 2, they can still do things, so they must be fine. Early-stage Alzheimer's doesn't immediately take away self-care abilities. Seniors can still cook, clean, and have normal conversations. But between those normal moments are offbeat ones you don't always notice. Like cutting 3 slices of bread, then forgetting what to eat with them. Or making coffee twice, unsure if they had the first cup. That offbeat rhythm is the scariest part, because it's so easy to miss. Misunderstanding number 3, early diagnosis won't help anyway. This belief is extremely dangerous. There's no cure for Alzheimer's, but its progress can be slowed. Early detection allows doctors to build a care plan, adjusting nutrition, stimulating memory through creative activities, teaching families how to support properly. If the early stage is missed, treatment becomes far less effective. Misunderstanding number 4, there's no point repeating, they won't remember. It sounds practical, but it makes seniors feel abandoned. Even if they don't remember, they still feel the loneliness and frustration. They start to withdraw, stop speaking, stop asking, stop engaging. And when silence takes over, the brain loses its chance to hold on to anything. Misunderstanding number 5, don't make a big deal, just let it be. Many hesitate to take seniors for a checkup, afraid to worry them. But the truth is, the longer you wait, the deeper they fall into fear they can't explain. They sense something's wrong, but no one confirms it. That leads to depression, loss of trust, and emotional instability. What they need is not silence. They need a hand on their shoulder, and the words, I noticed something different. Let's check it out together. The truth is, many cases can be detected early but are missed because of these misunderstandings. And the most painful part isn't that they forget who they are. It's when they look into a loved one's eyes, and see that person no longer believes in them. The truth is, many cases could be caught in time. But they're missed, because loved ones don't know what to look for. And the deepest pain isn't the memory loss itself. It's the lost connection in the eyes of someone who once knew you deeply. So how can we observe with care, without causing hurt? Let me show you gentle, thoughtful, and loving ways to do it right. Gentle, effective ways to observe correctly. Tip 1, keep a behavior journal, simple, yet insightful. Sometimes, our memory isn't as reliable as a small notebook. But that notebook can change how we see a loved one quietly changing. Start noting things that seem to repeat each day. How many times did he call the grandchild by the wrong name today? How often did she repeat a familiar question? No need to analyze. Just write, 1 minute a day. After 2 weeks, you'll see a picture clearer than any vague conversation. And that's what helps you explain things to the doctor, before it's too late. Write it down, to see what ordinary memory can't. Because what they forget, you still remember. Tip 2. Use old photos to test memory. No pressure, just memories. No one enjoys memory tests. But everyone loves telling a beautiful story. Open up an old photo album. Sit beside them, flip through the pages, and listen to what they remember. Do you remember where this was taken? Who bought us that car again? Who was holding the camera that day? No blaming if they stay silent. No correcting if they get things wrong. The goal isn't accuracy, it's understanding how they think. Those scattered pieces of memory may be the earliest signs of disconnection in short-term recall. And more importantly, their voice and eyes in that moment will show whether they still feel emotionally connected to those memories. A photo album can be a bridge between yesterday and tomorrow. Tip 3. Listen to how they tell a story. Don't interrupt, don't correct. We often have a habit of jumping into fixed details when our loved ones get something wrong. Wasn't that on a Wednesday? No, Aunt Mai gave the flowers, not Aunt Lan. But for someone showing early signs of Alzheimer's, what they need isn't correction. They need to feel respected as they try to recall a memory. Let them tell it, even if the story gets a bit tangled. A simple nod, or a smile, is more than enough. Instead of saying "That's not right, Mom," try, "Yeah, I remember it was such a fun day. Tell me more." The missing words, broken sentences, or scattered events aren't nonsense, they're signs the brain is struggling to link memories. Observing how they tell stories is the gentlest way to check memory without causing hurt. Someone who feels heard will always want to keep connecting. Tip 4. Watch for subtle changes in facial expressions during conversations. Seniors may not remember who you are, but their eyes still light up when they see someone familiar. A slight frown when you mention a loved one's name, a slower gaze when hearing the word wedding, or a soft shake of the head when asked, "What did you eat yesterday?" These tiny expressions are how the brain reacts to fading memory. You don't need to ask too much. Just look deeply into their eyes. Notice if they pause, smile faintly, or seem tense or confused for a few seconds. One elderly man once said, "When I started forgetting my granddaughter's name, I wasn't sad because I forgot. I was sad because no one noticed I was scared." And the first person who can notice that change is you. Tip 5. Ask gentle hypothetical questions to check reasoning. No need for an IQ test. Just ask a light, playful question that reveals how the brain processes logic. For example, what if you went to the market but forgot your wallet? What would you do? If you got lost while walking in the park, who would you call first? If the power went out while you were cooking, how would you handle it? These simple-sounding questions are actually ways to test information processing and reaction to scenarios. A healthy brain might laugh and answer right away. But with early Alzheimer's, the person may hesitate, repeat the question, or give an answer that doesn't fit. That's not just confusion from aging. It's the brain losing connection between memory, reasoning, and action. And it's in those small moments that you'll know when it's time to seek early evaluation. A playful question can be the key to deeper understanding. And sometimes, a hesitant glance, an incomplete answer, is a silent cry for help your loved one is sending you. To recognize early is not to fear. It's to love at the right time, in the right way. So now, let's look deeper into emotion, where true connection begins. There's a heartbreaking truth no one puts into words. Not everyone notices when their parents begin to forget what used to matter. No one says clearly, "Dad, I think something's going on with your memory." And no one teaches us how to face the gradual fading of a once familiar memory. Alzheimer doesn't begin with forgetting everything. It begins with small moments we tend to overlook. A wrong name, a repeated story, a distant gaze lost in silence. Those little things, if seen with genuine care, can become early signs that help us hold on in time. When you take time to listen, observe, and ask gentle questions, you are not only helping them, you're helping yourself keep the bond alive. Because memory may fade, but emotion, presence, and love still remain. Some steps slow down not because of age, but because in their minds, the roads have started disappearing. Some eyes stop looking at us for long, not because love is gone, but because they are lost in tangled memories. In those moments, a hand held, a soft reminder may be the one key to bring them back to the present. Summary and key takeaways: we've walked together through the journey of early Alzheimer's detection, not with medical tests, but with heart and gentle observation. These are 7 everyday signs that are easy to overlook, yet powerful warnings, repeating the same story just minutes later, without realizing it. Calling loved ones by the wrong name, even when seeing them daily. Forgetting how to do routine tasks like cooking or tying shoelaces. Losing direction in familiar places, getting lost near home. Struggling to find words, speaking in broken sentences or using odd substitutes. Mood changes for no clear reason, cheerful, then angry, without cause. Gradually pulling away from relationships, no longer calling or asking about others. Along the way, you've also learned the dangerous misconceptions that cause many to ignore early signs. How to observe correctly, track symptoms, and support doctors. And most importantly, emotional connection is the strongest bridge to ensure no one is left behind in the fading journey of memory. Share this video with anyone caring for an aging loved one. Because a small action today could help preserve a precious memory tomorrow. Your mother may ask you what day it is 3 times in one morning. And maybe, you'll see their eyes looking through you, as if you were never a familiar part of their life. But remember, no one wants to forget. No one chooses to lose themselves along the way. Alzheimer doesn't just take memory, it takes away the connection between people, between those who love each other. But if we're patient enough, understanding enough, and love the right way, we can still hold on to each piece, each feeling, each tender look. As long as you notice early enough. As long as you reach them with a heart that truly wants to understand. This video was made so no one ever has to say, "I wish I had known this sooner." If you're caring for a parent, a loved one, or even worried about your own memory, please share your questions or story in the comments below. Share this video with anyone caring for an aging loved one. Because a small action today can help preserve a precious memory tomorrow. Hit subscribe, because we, the healthy seniors, will always be here to walk with you on the journey to living well after 60. Because seniors deserve a memory that's cherished, and a life that's respected.